If you want to hire security guards, government and agencies, hire these people and pay them those wages we are paying the private contractors, and give them benefits that are contractual, so that when they at the end of their pay, they know that they have something to take home. They know they have something like this. Not the government itself facilitating the exploitation and abuse of its labor resource, just because there's something called tenders. Everybody's tendering. Everybody's tendering. The government is supply. It's just crazy. Even the Minister of Works today, I don't know if they even own a single earth mover. Where is the time when the Minister of Works constructed roads on the cheap? What happened? We look at billions of shillings spent on roads. I wonder just why can't the ministry do it? And then we are contracting China Road and Bridges, which is a government parastatal in China. Your government is contracting a parastatal from another country to come and do roads. What the hell is wrong with us? Today, if a disaster happened and a building collapsed in Nairobi, the only Republican institution we have left is the military. It's the only one that might come with heavy equipment. Otherwise, all the equipment that will come on site will be hired from the private sector. Is that how we're going to run a country? We cannot surrender the country to market forces. That's where the problem is. So the salaries of the MPs can also not be surrendered to market forces. If you want to become an MP, you must know you are going to serve. It's a republic. It's the Republic of Kenya. The name Republic of Kenya is not decorative. It's not a decorative part of the name of this country. It means we are a government of law. We are a space governed by law. And people have rights under the law. So if you are going to pay public officials, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission should do the honorable thing of showing us the correlation between salaries of people. Right now, you look at the salary of the president and the salary of a clerk and the PACs. There's no correlation. Absolutely none. So those are the kind of things we need to look at. As for the question of whether or not the Parliamentary Service Commission can override the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in terms of allowances and other parts of MPs. We fought in the High Court. I succeeded. We are now in the Court of Appeal. Me and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission on one side, the Parliamentary Service Commission, and I think the AG and others on the other side, with Parliament and the Senate on the other side. When the matter came up before the bench in the Court of Appeal, one of the judges asked me a very direct question. Omtata, when you came to this court, you are not a senator. You are not an MP. Today you are an MP. Has your position changed? And I told the judge it has not changed. My position remains the same, that under no circumstances should any group of individuals be able to determine their salaries and allowances. That's the position. The matter is in the Court of Appeal. We are slugging it out. I hope we succeed, and maybe we escalate to the Supreme Court, because we are interpreting, I think it's Article 172. No, 127, 172. I'm a bit confused on the Parliamentary Service Commission. But so be it. So I think that one, there's no justification for the kind of salaries we're getting compared to what everybody else is getting from the public service. We must create a relationship. Going to public office, you must not go. You don't go to public office to get rich. You should go to public office to serve. And maybe if we do that, JM Karaoke, Seronei, and many others, Chelagat, and many, many others were elected to represent people. And they were not Weshimiwas, but they were Wajumbe. They used to be called Wajumbe. I don't know where the word Weshimiwa came from. When I was growing up, MPs were called Wajumbe. Mujumbe wa Busia, North. Mine was called Mujumbe wa Amagoro constituency. Initially, it was Busia North, then became Amagoro. So that's the kind of things we have. Mujumbe wa Bunyala, Mujumbe wa Samia, Mujumbe wa wherever. Wembakasi, Mheshimiwa wa Busia. Hakuna mheshimiwa wa Kariobangi, hakuna mheshimiwa wa Kikuyu, ni mjumbe, ni mheshimiwa kivyake. You see this mindset. But also among the people of Kenya, we have got a problem. The other that I am defined by what I own. I'm defined by my character, not by what I own. So I was condemned that how come a senator is driving a small Nissan? How come? There was even a drive to buy my vehicle. I don't know where that money went. There was a drive to buy my vehicle. A vehicle worth some 6 or 7, 8 million shillings, which I said, well, if you buy me, I'll take it, I'll keep it. I'll use it whenever I can fuel it. Money was, I told at one time it reached 2 million shillings. I don't know where the money ended up. But look at that problem whereby you don't condemn the reckless road driver who was driving a petrol tanker full of fuel and nearly deleted me from this world. If he had just hit me a few inches to the side of my driver, I would not be talking today. Instead of condemning that driver who was a reckless driver and the vehicle was unfit, petrol tanker, I'm being condemned for running a small vehicle. But the reality is, even if I was driving the latest V8 or whatever, I don't know these big vehicles, what they're called. I don't know their names. Even if I had the latest car, can you stand up to a petrol tanker? You can't. So road safety cannot be reduced to the kind of vehicle you drive. The road must be safe for everybody. The road must be safe for pedestrians. The roads must be built for pedestrians and cyclists. This culture where we build roads only for people who drive, and yet everybody pays taxes, must stop. People walking on foot should have roads. People riding bicycles should have roads. The very many accidents we're having sometimes today is because we have got no roads for cyclists and we have got no roads for separate roads for pedestrians. All roads are built for motor vehicles. So those are why we come to, and these are done when the society expects people to consume big, to live large, then people are saying, nitasema mimi kama senator sahi, mimi sio yule mtata wa jana activist, mimi ni senator. Kwa hivyo hata nikitaka kupanda lift lazima ningoje clerk akuja abofye lift ikuja ndio mimi nipande hiyo lift. You see, so we cannot allow that. So let us also have a society that looks at it and realizes that these tools that we have, the watches, vehicles, belts, and these are just trinkets. And these are the same things that were used by the chiefs of the old to sell Africans into slavery. They were given trinkets and they sold each other to slavery. Today, corruption has become the new method whereby people taking trinkets and they sell others to slavery. They make the homeland unhospitable. That's why there's one late, there's a guy, there was a Nigerian guy who used to live here, was in civil society. He used to say that that in the early days, Africans were forced into slavery. But today, if a big ship came to Mombasa with a brand, slavery is required in Europe or in the USA, the scramble will be unbelievable. There will be no space on that ship for people scrambling to get to the USA, to get to the EU, to be slaves there, because the motherland is totally messed up. We must get our country back. And you people who have risen up, the Gen Z, are the people to get this country back. We must get a developmental state working. A state that develops the human resource, develops proper infrastructure, develops proper industry, so that this country can take off. And that can be done in a period of 5 years, given the kind of money, the amount of money we lost in this country. So the next thing we have is the whistleblower protection. On whistleblower protection, yes, there's a lot to it, but you see, we are approaching whistleblower protection without realizing our own limitations. A country like the USA, where this concept of whistleblower protection came from, is an entire continent. The USA is just virtually a continent. So maybe like from Nairobi to Lagos, you are still in the USA. It is so huge. And so it is easy to protect people. And among the tools they do is even change identity, relocate people from one state to another, and make people disappear, but still they continue their lives. In Kenya, our options are very, very limited. We are a very, very small space. So those who the law on whistleblower protection, which I think we need to be relooked at, and we look at what realities are there that we can protect our whistleblowers. And maybe some levels of whistleblowing might require removing somebody from this municipality to a different country, from this jurisdiction to another jurisdiction, and changing their identity so that they can have a new life there. So all those kind of things need to be considered. Otherwise, the idea of saying safe houses, what have you, to me is just arrant nonsense. If the thugs want to get you, they will even get you in that safe house. So they need a slightly more elaborate legal and policy framework to protect whistleblowers. But I also think that the whistleblower should be so considered where people release information to private individuals and tell them, hey, do you know that the last elections, the last recruitment, like just the other day, somebody came to me. I was in Kisumu, and somebody says, I've been wondering how to get you. And he walks to me with a pile of paper and he tells me, look, if you go to this called the Kenya Investment Authority, they have cancelled recruitment of the CEO 4 times. This is the 5th time they are going to recruitment. But now they've bitten the bullet by they've decided to bite the bullet and say now they've lowered the qualifications that are required to make you the CEO of the Kenya Investment Authority. And I've removed these requirements, and there's somebody in mind whom they want to make who has failed ever through. But now even this time he had failed. And they've had to recall the shortlist, remove people who are qualified in the shortlist, and put these people on the shortlist. And please see what you can do. Now, he gave me the documentation showing everything that has happened. But because of the court order that I cannot use these documents in court, all I could do was to put a letter to write a letter to the chairman of the last week. I wrote a letter to the chairman of the Kenya Investment Authority, telling him I've got this information. What they are doing is wrong. They should recruit according to the law, or we shall have to fight over that. But my hands have such a good information that I would go to court and get orders immediately, but my hands are tied. The fact that they will tell me the Supreme Court said you must acquire documents in a certain formula. The idea that somebody gave you documents on the street, those are the documents that were legitimately acquired, you can't use them. But that's the truth. So I had to write a letter, and I wrote the letter and served them. I also copied the letter to the president. I copied the letter to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and staff. I don't know what actions they'll take. So this is the kind of country we live in. And so the whistleblower is operating in a very, very toxic environment, and sometimes a fruitless environment. And you've got whistleblowers who have died. The guy who blew the whistle on the golden bag was killed. So we really need to know how to deal with this issue.
Senator
But,
Omotata, wanted to give the chance to Professor Kiviwa Kibwana to say something. He's about to leave. We have more questions for you. So I just wanted to chime in at this moment.
I'm going soon to listen to this very critical conversation, and particularly because we are learning a lot, we are dialoguing, and in terms of the knowledge that he has of law, of how he gets information, data, so that even when and at Senate, Omtata, Sifuna, they really encourage us in terms of how parliamentary business can be done. So congratulations, Okia, Heko. I am also your fan. Now, in terms of wanted proper decolonization, and there were young people, some of them just like the Gen Z. Like the reference point of how by the political opposition then, and of course we know the bloodshed that resulted as an article by Houghton Irungu as shown as recently. Then we had now we want Katiba, and so there was again, a lot of bloodshed and many negative things. You remember what happened to Njoya and so on. And again, we were really saying that we want a reset of the country. And that is why I'm very excited about now the life and times of the Gen Z movement because they are ushering in the third Saba Saba of 2024, which is about 24 years, I think several years after the 1997 Saba Saba. So in a way, this is the third epical Saba Saba, and we really need to appreciate this